Hi, School Health Officers. Thank you so much for what you're doing for your students and your community. One of the important things that SHOs do is screen for malnutrition. And we do that using something called a MUAC tape. Stands for Mid-Upper Arm Circumference, MUAC. I imagine you may have seen one of these around. This is the UNICEF MUAC tape. It's used for kids 5 years and under. So we don't use this one at school because it's for little kids, not grown-ups, and not school-age kids. The one that we do use is this one from Abbott. It looks a little complicated to begin with, but it's actually an amazing tool, and a school health officer who can use it effectively is really going to be able to help everyone in their community. Let's talk a little bit about what's on this tape. First of all, there's an arrow to show us how to loop the tape together, because the point is that we're going to create a loop and slide it up into a child's arm so we can see what the circumference is of their mid-upper arm, their mid-upper arm circumference. That number is going to show over here, and it's going to guide us as to whether or not the child is malnourished. So first of all, we need to notice that every one of these stripes on this tape, and there's a whole bunch of them, corresponds with an age range. And we find the age range of the child up here at the top, right here at the very beginning of the stripe. This one is 10 years, and then 10 and a half years, 11, 12, 13. This side of the tape goes all the way up to age 18. If you flip the tape over to the white side, it's a different age group. Now we've got 9 years going all the way down to, going all the way up to 5 years. So the white side is for little kids, and the gray side is for older students. So now that we know that, we're going to measure the arm circumference of a person to determine whether or not they have malnutrition. Let me tell you a little bit about the colors on this MUAC tape. So you can see that there's a range of colors, starting up here with orange and going all the way down to hashed or dotted red. For our purposes here in Kenya, we're looking for kids with undernutrition. And so we're going to be worried about the bottom half of this scale. Normal for anybody, adult or child, is in the range of green. Just to let you know, if people are overweight, obese, their MUAC score is going to be higher and higher because the circumference of their arm is going to be bigger and bigger. But with little kids, what we're really looking for is undernutrition, which means the circumference of their arm is going to be smaller and smaller. If a child's arm circumference is in the regular green, that means they're normal, and I'm so glad. Let's continue on with whatever nutrition they're getting. If it's in the dotted green, I'm a little worried about them, but not too much, because they just could be having a growth spurt. If, however, their MUAC tape shows them to be in the dotted yellow or the dotted orange, that means that they've got malnutrition. It's moderate malnutrition if they're all the way down here in the dotted orange. And the worst is to be in the dotted red. That means this child has severe malnutrition, and we really need to make sure to take care of them. Malnutrition can cause stunting and wasting. It keeps people out of school. It makes it more common for them to have infections. They can get malaria more easily, HIV more easily, and indeed, any of those infections could also cause a child to have malnutrition. That's why it's so important for school health officers to be able to use this tool. It's an amazing tool. So this is how we do it. We take our tape, and the first thing we do is ask the child how old they are. We need to know more than just, I'm 9 years old. We also need to know how many months. Because, for example, if a child is 9 years and 10 months old, they're actually closer to the 10-year range. And so we want to make sure that we're using the right side of the tape. Once we know how old they are, we choose the side of the tape that we're going to have on the outside of their arm. Then we loop the blue end of this tape through the very end of the MUAC tape. You want to follow the pattern and slide the loop end underneath the age scale and then back up so it copies the blue mark on the tape. See how that looks just like that? You don't want to do it the other way because you'll cover up the age range. And there's a little tiny notch right here on this little part of the tape, and that's where we're going to read the number, the circumference, that's the number of their MUAC. Once you get it set up like this, pull it just a little bit, and then when you're screening a bunch of students, you can just keep one tape that's for 10 and up, 10 years and up, and you can loop another one around for 9 years and down. So you'll have 2 tapes at the ready, and you can just slide it onto a kid's arm. Then you slide it onto their arm, and I'm about to show you exactly where to put it, and wait until it's fairly tight, and then you can look to see what their number is. If it's 23, for example, and the child is 10 years old, they are in really good shape because it falls into the normal. However, if a child is 18 years old and their MUAC tape runs at 23, that means that they're moderately malnourished. And it's really important to get them back on track and to teach them as much as you can about nutrition before they go out into the working world. So next, I'm going to show you how to use a MUAC tape on an actual person. Let's learn how to actually use a MUAC on a person. This is Fatima, who's part of the One Good Turn team. She's not 18, but we're going to say that she is, and she's old enough to give us full consent to be doing this demonstration using her arm. Okay, so you need to know a couple of things to be able to do a MUAC tape. The first one is, where exactly is the mid-upper arm circumference? Well, we measure that by finding 2 bony points on the outside of the arm. The first one is the bone at your shoulder, the one that you can feel on the side of your shoulder. And you can go ahead right now and just reach out and feel that bony point. The second point, which is the bottom of the measurement, is the bony point at the corner of the elbow. So we're going to be finding the midpoint between the bony point at the shoulder and the bony point at the elbow. The best way to do that is with a measuring cord of some kind. So you just reach out and touch that bony point, and then you touch this bony point, and then you fold your cord in half. And right about here, I didn't fold that quite right, is her mid-upper arm circumference. The other reference is that this area is right in between the deltoid muscle and the biceps muscle. So we're looking for an area that has the least amount of muscle because that's the part that's going to get thinner as people start to lose muscle and fat. So once I've found the midpoint between the bony point at the shoulder and the bony point at the elbow, I ask my person to please hold their finger right there while I make my MUAC tape ready. So that's exactly where I'm going to slide the tape. Now I should already have this looped together, but I'll show you one more time how to loop it. I first check to make sure I'm using the tape that's appropriate for her age, and I've got the 10 to 18-year-old gray side pointing out. Then I loop my tape using the blue end, sliding it under the age indicators and back up to cover up the arrow so it matches perfectly. And then I slide the tape up to my person that I'm screening, mid-upper arm circumference. Then I slide it down and I have them relax their arm so that their muscles are relaxed, and I check to see what the number is. This mid-upper arm circumference is 21. So one of the things I would do is write that down in my school records, 21. I've already written down her age, which is 18. Now I'm going to look to see what this person's nutrition status is. So I slide all the way down to their age. Here's 18 years old, and I see that this person is malnourished. Her MUAC circumference falls into the red area. And that means we need to initiate a nutrition protocol for this student to make sure that they can gain back their fat and their protein, and that they learn about nutrition so that they use the right practices as they get older.